Hey Sioux Falls, construction season just started, but it feels like it's in full swing. Today we have a lot of updates for you on our major construction projects, so stay tuned. Our first update is on North Minnesota Avenue from Russell Street to 2nd Street. We welcome to the show Nick Borns, our water principal engineer. Nick,
thanks, Shannon. Happy to be here.
Yeah, so last month we talked to our project on-site inspector, Pat Dressen, and he kind of gave us the overview of what's happening on the project, but I wanted to kind of dive a little bit deeper on the work that's going on right now has to do with water main.
Mm-hmm.
So give us a little bit of a history on what is the scope of the water main along Minnesota Avenue?
Sure. So this water main project is significant for us.
Okay.
It's probably I would say probably the most critical piece of I guess water distribution infrastructure we have. So it's a 42-inch water main that we're installing. We actually have existing 42-inch from the plant to Russell Street, and then it necks down to 36, and that existing concrete 36-inch water main is what we're replacing.
So is it, so it's currently 36
yes.
in the ground, okay.
Yes.
So then why the upsizing of the pipe?
So I guess kind of like I said, this is probably the most critical piece of infrastructure we have in our distribution system.
Okay.
I would actually call it our water transmission artery. So
Okay.
this is the main feed from the plant. This water main actually feeds several of our water towers and our reservoirs. And in fact, just to put kind of things into context and perspective, on our peak day, which is roughly 40 to 45 million gallons a day.
Is that like in the summertime?
In the summertime,
Okay.
yep. So that would be when kind of like maybe drier conditions when people are watering.
Okay.
We would see roughly 18 million gallons a day come through this water main.
Wow.
And to kind of put that into perspective, 18 million gallons a day is just more than what we would use on a typical winter day. Probably 16 to 17 million gallons a day was what we would use on a typical winter day.
Oh, wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, and then to kind of add a little more perspective, since 18 million gallons a day probably doesn't mean a lot to most of the listeners, 18 million gallons would fill just more than 27 Olympic-sized swimming pools.
Woo! That's a lot of water.
Yeah, kind of cool.
It is. So as this pipe then would go to all of the different reservoirs, so like the water tower and the reservoirs, it stays in there until the users need it? Is that
Right.
what happens?
Yeah, I mean, the idea with the storage is to kind of be able to handle the fluctuation in demand.
Okay.
And this transmission main is the key component to getting that water to those holding facilities,
Okay.
basically.
So bringing the project then back to Minnesota Avenue then, aside from the reservoirs and water towers, when you drive the corridor, you see all the sticks of pipe lined up, but then you also see a really large orange thing every once in a while. What are those orange pieces of equipment?
Those are water valves, actually. And it's funny, the typical water valves we see are 8 and 12 inch, and they look relatively small. Well, these 42-inch water valves are huge.
Yeah.
They're gate valves. They weigh over 11,000 pounds each.
So what is their purpose?
So basically it's to be able to isolate the main. So
Okay.
if we would ever have a break, or if we would ever need to tie into the water main or something like that, we have to have the ability to be able to shut down the water main or segments of it.
Okay.
So we've got the water valves. We've got 3 of them that will be installed in this stretch. And this will allow us to be able to isolate the mains strategically, I guess,
Wow.
if there's ever any future construction or maintenance or breaks or anything like that that happen.
How do you close them?
Well, actually, they're closed with, there's a motor on the front of the water maintenance trucks that they attach to it and actually close the valves. You wouldn't want to close them by hand. Actually, so those 42-inch valves take almost 700 turns.
Oh my goodness.
To actually completely close them.
That'd be quite a workout.
It would be a workout, yes.
So you have a mechanical thing that closes them
Yes.
and then okay, very good. So then give us a little bit of a preview. Once the contractor is done with the water main on the segment that he's on right now, does he have to do it? Does he have to put any more water main on the east side, or is once this segment gets done, the water main is done?
Yeah, they'll have to finish the water main on
Okay,
the east
on
side
the east
when
side
the
too.
traffic is
Okay.
flipped over and when this side of construction is completed. So
All
they'll
right.
put in that 42-inch water main, and then they'll actually put in that smaller water main along the west side, and then when everything's flipped, then they'll put it in on
Okay.
the east side of the street.
Well, all right. So my last question, I think, is once the water main gets put in, do you turn it on? Does the water start flowing as soon as it's in the ground or not?
Well, yeah, once they have it in, basically what they'll have to do is testing. So in the 42-inch, I mean, even though it's, kind of unique, it's no different than any of other distribution mains or anything like that. We'll have to test it. So basically what they'll do is they'll fill it with water, and then they'll actually pump water into the main to pump up that pressure and make sure that it can hold a pressure we follow just kind of standard industry guidelines. So they would pump that up to a certain pressure for a certain amount of time.
Okay.
And then if that passes, they would blow that off. And then what they would do is they would actually grab a sample to test for bacteria and things like that.
Okay.
And then once the bacteria sample passes and the pressure test passes, then we're ready to have that water main in service.
And start drinking it.
Yep, that's
All
right.
right. Very good. Well, thanks so much for your time today.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having us, Shannon.
On to our next one. Well, our next project update is out here on the southwest part of the city on our next biggest project, 41st Street, from Shirley Avenue to Marion Road. We welcome to the show Eric from Infrastructure Design Group. Eric, there's so much going on right now. Main work is going on Marion Road. What's happening on Marion Road?
Early this week we're going to concentrate on removals, and then later this week we'll do utilities, starting with water and then sewer and then storm sewer.
Okay, so Marion Road then would be closed how long?
Till about the middle of June.
Okay.
Middle to the end of June.
And then traffic is detoured where?
To 49th Street, 57th Street, there's various detours. For the
Okay.
major traffic's on 57th, but the minor one's on 49th. And
Okay.
local businesses are still open to traffic.
Oh, wonderful. Yes, that's always good to mention that. So traffic on 41st Street can still go through the Marion Road intersection, right?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay. So we haven't been out here probably, it's been about a month. There seems to be a lot of work that's been done then on 41st Street from the interstate to Marion Road. What's done?
All the water and sanitary sewer's done. We have a couple hundred feet of storm sewer to put in yet. The contractor's had 3 to 4 crews working. It's going really good so far.
Wow, 3 to 4 crews. That's
Yeah.
wonderful. So he's trying to get ahead of schedule in case what? Something bad happens with weather or what?
just trying to get it done as soon as possible.
Very good.
Get in and out.
Yeah, good. So the intersections that are closed then along the south side of 41st Street, are those the way it's going to be then for a while? Or
Right now we have Gateway to the south closed for Excel duct lowering.
Okay.
That'll be closed this week, and we won't have more than one closed at a time, so that we don't have any planned closures other than Marion and Gateway.
Okay, very good. So then, Eric, with Marion Road on the south side being closed until mid-June, so then will the contractor then immediately hop over to the north side?
No, they'll have the whole south side paved, Marion Road and 41st, and then traffic will be on new Marion Road and 41st, and then they'll get the utilities in on 41st Street and then close the north side of Marion later this summer.
Okay,
to
so
be determined.
it won't be right away, but it'll
No.
probably in
Be
the...
a several month gap in
Okay.
between the north side and south side.
But it's coming.
Yep.
Great.
Yep.
So how are the businesses so far? Has it been challenging or they seem to be pretty good so far?
They've been really good to work with so far.
Yeah,
I
great.
mean, no major issues. Every place is open still. You can get there.
Great. So looks like nothing major as far as traffic changes because now that Marion's closed, we're going to be here for a while.
Right.
Okay, very good.
Yep.
All right, well, I think that's all for our update. I just wanted to get an update with Marion Road moving along, and boy, three or four crews. They're
Yeah.
really going fast.
Yes.
So that's great. Anything else you want to tell our viewers about the project site?
Just keep mind of the traffic control. Follow
Yeah.
the signs. If it says road closed to through traffic, that means road closed to through traffic.
How have the speeds been? Is everybody trying to keep their speeds down a little bit?
Well, it's during rush hour, it's bumper to bumper, so we don't
Okay.
have to worry about it too much.
Okay.
But midday, somebody will come by a little quick, but
Okay.
it's not too bad.
Great. All right, well, thanks so much for your time today.
You bet.
Our next project, we drive over to the east side at 41st Street and Sycamore Avenue, where we have quite a bit of intersection work going on. We welcome Troy Miller from the City of Sioux Falls, project manager. Troy, there's a lot of orange barrels up at the intersection. What is the contractor working on right now, and what lanes are closed right now?
Okay, yeah, so right now we're working on water main. We are on the kind of northeast quadrant of the intersection, so we've got narrow lanes out here. We're down to pretty much two 10-foot lanes in all directions through the intersection here. So we really just encourage motorists out here to use caution, slow down. We've got a lot of moving parts and equipment and people out here, so and then there's also a little bit of a drop off along the right side of the road out here in some places.
So that drop off would be because the lanes are so narrow, we're forcing people to drive in the gutter essentially, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, and our street guys have been out here filling potholes as much as they can, but there's still some that are popping up then, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And so we're trying to have street department come out here kind of on a weekly or bi-weekly basis and see what they can do to keep it smooth until we can get on to the next phase of the project and get on some fresh concrete.
Okay, so the north side of 41st Street is all ripped up. Do you think that we would have new concrete by maybe the first part of June or mid-June?
Yeah, I think sometime early to mid-June we'll hope to be paving over here. It's all kind of weather dependent. We've had a little bit of wet weather, but thankfully we got some warm weather and some wind coming to dry it up for us.
Okay. So then one of these things because I live in this area, so one of the questions that I have as a person that lives here, I've noticed there's really unique pedestrian crossings that like down on the east and west end of the project limits. Is that typically what we see on projects, or explain what is that? Why are we doing that?
We're trying to do as much as we can to keep things pedestrian friendly, especially for anybody that's wheelchair bound or somebody with low vision, to try to be able to navigate their way through our project sites. So we've still got a little bit of work to do. We've got a couple new areas that we've torn up that are kind of graveled right now that we're hoping to get some temporary sidewalk in this week to make it as pedestrian friendly as we can keep it.
But it looks like there's concrete or there's barriers, and then there's a ramp that comes down. So is that a movable ramp?
Yep. Yeah. So we're actually putting in some temporary ramps, and then we've got some water-filled barricades, kind of protecting pedestrians as they get to the bottom of those ramps.
Okay. Do you still allow pedestrians at the intersection crossing on 41st and Sycamore, or not?
Yes, we do. Yeah, the south side of the intersection is open for pedestrian traffic.
Okay. So not much change here for the upcoming weeks in May. We just gotta keep putting in water main and keep grading. And anything else that you want to mention about the project?
No, they're making steady progress on the water main. It's not going to really look any different to the traveling public because they're opening the ground, putting the water main in, then they're covering it back up as they complete it. So it's not a whole lot of change when you're driving by, but we are making steady progress out here.
Okay. And then also just up and down the corridor, are there other intersections along Sycamore that are closed?
Yeah, right now 49th Street is closed on the east side of Sycamore Avenue.
Okay.
That's the only side street right now, and so there will be more side street closures. We'll get news releases out for those, and we're only allowing the contractor to have a side street closed for a maximum of 15 days, and then we're also not allowing them to close 2 consecutive side streets to try to minimize traffic disruptions.
So, like, for example, the contractor couldn't close 42nd Street and 49th Street at the same time.
That's right.
Okay, perfect. All right, well, thank you so much for the update, and we're on to Arrowhead Parkway.
Right.
Thanks.
Thank you, Shannon.
Well, our last update is on the east side of the city. At Arrowhead Parkway and 6 Mile Road, we welcome to the show Krista May from Infrastructure Design Group, another infrastructure team member here today. Seems like we've been talking about Arrowhead and 6 Mile Road for a long time.
We have.
Good that it's finally under construction. So give our viewers an indication what's going to happen during the month of May.
So the month of May, you're probably not going to see a lot of traffic impacts. They're going to start doing work on the 6 Mile Road realignment, which is mainly off of the corridor. And then they're going to do some work, probably some dirt work on the north and west side of 6 Mile Road. So starting that new Arrowhead alignment that we have.
Okay.
So probably just dirt work for the month of May. They might get started with some of the underground utilities by the end of the month.
Okay. So remind us again on why are we realigning 6 Mile Road?
So we want to realign 6 Mile Road. So the current intersection has a skew, and it's about a 55-degree skew. And it's just unsafe for sight distance, It's kind of making an awkward turn when you're looking certain directions. So we wanted to realign the roadway to get it more to a 90-degree intersection.
Seems to make sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so then long as we're talking about realignments then, so Arrowhead Parkway is also technically being constructed off alignment, right?
Correct. So the existing highway as you see it today will remain as a frontage road when
Okay.
we're done, but the new alignment is actually going to be about 200 feet south of the existing highway. So a lot of that work, again, will happen with minimal impacts to traffic, which we're lucky with on this project.
So why would we realign? Why are we doing that realignment to the north?
So back in 2007, the DOT purchased all of the right-of-way that we needed to make that adjustment. And the frontage road is going to be really beneficial for the commercial properties on the south side of the road. So it's going to make it a safer access for them. They won't have to slow down the main highway traffic in order to make those right turn movements. So it's going to be a good benefit for this kind of industrial business park out here.
So then those business owners will be able to travel on that service road, and then how will they get out to Arrowhead Parkway?
Yeah, so if you're going to go east on Arrowhead Parkway, we're going to have an access at Hillside Avenue.
Okay.
If you want to make a left turn, you're going to have to go to the half-mile point, which is about the new East 10th Street location.
Okay.
And that'll be a signalized intersection. So you're going to be able to wait for the stoplight and make a safe left-hand turn movement out of there.
And it'll be signalized with the project?
It'll be signalized with the project.
Wonderful. I bet those folks out there just love that idea. Yeah, wonderful. So there has been some work that we've been doing over the past 6 months out here. So I noticed that there's the house that the city purchased has been demoed, but also tree removal. Why do you guys do the tree removal in advance of a project?
So the tree removal is done because we have a window during the winter months that we aren't affecting bat habitats, and then we're not affecting the emerald ash borer. So we try to do the removals during the winter months, and since this contract wasn't let until April, that was outside of the window.
Okay.
So the city actually came in and demoed all of the trees so that we could protect those bat habitats and not affect the emerald ash borer and prevent that from spreading every further.
Well, that really helps, and a shout out to our streets guys, huh?
Yeah.
Awesome. So looking forward again, the property owners, have they been really good to work with along the corridor?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
They've been waiting a long time for this project. So super appreciative of their patience as we've been working through right-of-way and design and the whole process, but they've been great out here.
Great. So looking long-term then, total completion of this project is when?
Total completion will be August, September of 2023.
So next year.
So next year.
Okay. And then looking forward to the summer months, when will our drivers, will Arrowhead ever be closed?
Yes. So we will have a closure on 6 Mile Road first, probably sometime in June. And then we'll have a closure on Arrowhead Parkway, probably July, August timeframe. We're waiting on the box culvert to get produced for that.
Okay, perfect. Has there been any material delays that we've been kind of pushed us out of schedule yet, or not?
Thankfully, once again, the city had some forethought and procured all of our water main and sanitary sewer items. So we don't have a delay with any of those. I believe that all of them have arrived, and
Great.
we can start getting those delivered to site. So the box culvert is about a 3-month build. So we are waiting a little bit on that, but it works with phasing so that we can do all of the other things before we get there.
Wonderful. Well, that was great news. So we'll definitely be back out here. So thanks so much for your time today.
Yeah, thanks, Shannon.
Well, that does it, Sioux Falls. Our construction season is in full swing. Remember to keep track of our website at siouxfalls.org/street construction on any project updates. Until next time, we'll see you on the streets.